Good evening, everyone. It is 5 o'clock, not our normal city council hour, but we appreciate all of you coming through on this evening. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Note for the record that all members of council are present and accounted for. And as always, we begin our meetings with a Pledge of Allegiance. So if you're willing and able, please stand and join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And before we begin the public hearing, I'd ask that our city attorney, Ms. Eswine, could you please inform the public of the public hearing procedures?
Thank you. An individual requesting to be heard on a matter related to the purpose of the hearing must be recognized by the mayor before addressing the city council. Upon rising to speak, the speaker must identify himself or herself and furnish a home or business address before proceeding with any comments or remarks. The council will allow proponents a total of 10 minutes to speak in support of an application. Opponents will be allowed 10 minutes to speak in opposition. Comments are accepted first from the applicant, followed by persons speaking in favor, and then from those in opposition. Upon conclusion of any opposing comments or presentation, the mayor will allow the applicant to offer rebuttal if any time is remaining in the originally allotted 10 minutes.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Whitman, I believe you've got the first item, and that is Z-25-15/V-25-34, Madewell, Milton Avenue.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The first item before you this evening is a request for rezoning and variance to allow for one single-family detached lot on 1.34 acres, and this is located in the downtown. The rezoning is requested from SU special use to R15 dwelling for sale residential. And there are two variances to reduce the front building setback and to reduce a stream buffer on a perennial stream. I have the location map on the overhead. This property is located at 0 Milton Avenue. This property is an undeveloped property that was formerly part of the Innovation Academy campus. It has a perennial stream that runs along the north edge of the property. That stream is a tributary of the Faux Killer Creek. And the stream buffers and impervious setback from that stream cover much of this property. The applicant came across this property, purchased this property from Fulton County Schools. The applicant also owns the adjacent property to the east, which is 249 Milton Avenue. The applicant intends on redeveloping that lot and needed to extend sewer to that property. And so he did purchase this property in order to extend sewer to that property. The comprehensive land use plan designation of this property is actually low-density residential, so it does not require a change to the future land use. It already had that low-density residential future land use, and the proposal is consistent with that. As I mentioned, there's two variances, one to the front building setback, and that should read from 35 feet to reduce the front setback from 35 feet to 24. It does say 65 in the staff report. The other homes that have been built along this section of Milton Avenue we've made the interpretation that Milton Avenue was a local street requiring a 35-foot front setback. And then the other variance is to reduce the perennial stream buffer on the property. That would be a 50% reduction from 150 feet to 75 feet to accommodate one single home on that lot. With stream buffer variances, we do require stream buffer mitigation. And so this is the applicant's mitigation plan. Basically, they're trying to mitigate the impacts of the reduced buffer. What they're proposing is to provide a mitigation, buffer mitigation area of 2 times the area that where they're encroaching into the buffer, which equates to 0.84 acres. They're showing that area here where you see any of the green area with the trees. This would be the buffer mitigation area. And in that area, they would plant buffer enhancement landscape material, recompense trees, and live stakes on the stream bank. City stormwater engineers reviewed the request and believe that the applicant has made efforts to minimize the impact to the stream buffer. They've reduced their request from 2 lots down to 1 lot. And she does believe that the encroachment on the buffer can be mitigated through a combination of additional runoff reduction, buffer enhancement plantings, or alternative mitigation efforts, which could include things like stream restoration or stream bank restoration. And that would be determined during the LDP land disturbance permit process, and you'll see condition 12 addresses that mitigation. This is the applicant's site plan. The site plan does depict one single family detached home on the 1.34 acre lot. Access is from Milton Avenue. This home has a side-loaded garage, and the maximum impervious that would be allowed on this lot would be 50% of the 1.34 acre lot. The applicant is proposing with this home footprint here, it would be 21%. So they're well below the 50% max impervious that would be permitted. The site plan does address the required streetscape along Milton Avenue and the required landscape strip. There's also a tree of quality located approximately in this location. The property, we do require specimen trees and trees of quality in the front setback along certain streets in downtown, including Milton Avenue, to be saved, and the applicant is saving that tree. There are 6 specimen trees identified in the applicant's tree protection plan. Only one of those is being proposed to be removed, so they're saving 5 specimen trees on the site. In addition, they're saving 18 trees of quality and smaller tree groupings on the site. And then there are 2 underground stormwater systems on the north end of the new home, and as well as on the east side of the home. We are in the downtown, so we do have architectural requirements. The applicant proposes Tudor eclectic architectural style. And the home, this is the home that's proposed. There's a color version of this as well from a previous application. 2-story home with steeply pitched rooftops with a stone exterior. City's downtown consultant did review the request and believes that the design generally complies with the downtown design guidelines. He did feel that the rendering was a bit on the modern side and did provide 4 comments. And condition number 2 addresses the architecture and materials and would require compliance with those comments provided by the downtown consultant. And then, of course, looking at the review criteria for the rezoning and variance, we believe the proposal is consistent with the comprehensive land use plan designation. It's low-density residential and would be suitable as it relates to the use and development of adjacent and nearby properties, which are developed with single-family detached lots. In fact, the density at this location would be much less than surrounding properties. As it relates to the variance, we believe the property has exceptional and peculiar conditions related to the shape and topography. The applicant has minimized the impacts to the stream buffer by reducing the request from 2 lots to 1 lot. And the applicant has proposed stream buffer mitigation to offset the impacts. Applicant did provide a citizen participation report indicating that they did not receive any public comments. They also did not receive public comments at the December 10th CZIM meeting. And Planning Commission considered the applicant's request at their January 8th meeting. There was 1 public comment with concerns over downstream flooding. Ultimately, Planning Commission recommended unanimous approval, subject to the staff recommended conditions, and there are 14 conditions in the staff report. And that concludes the presentation. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Woodman? Councilman Hypes?
Mr. Woodman, do we have other houses along Milton Avenue within 24 feet of the road?
So we did look at the setbacks of the other houses along Milton Avenue. We don't have any that have gone through a variance process. We do have several that have been redeveloped that have as little as a 35-foot setback. So this one would be the closest to the road with the request to reduce from 35 to 24. The 24-foot setback is closer to what you would see with the new homes that have been developed along Marietta Street, west of Roswell Street.
The setback measured from what point? 24 feet back from what point?
From the front property line, which is typically going to be about a foot behind the backup sidewalk.
And so how far will that be from the roadway?
So there's a 6-foot planter as well as an 8-foot sidewalk. So you'll have about a foot of curb, then you'll have a 6-foot planter, then an 8-foot sidewalk. So that's about 15, you got 15 feet. And then the front property line should begin right at the back of the sidewalk or about a foot off the back of the sidewalk. So you've got 15 plus the 24. So you're closer to, what is that, 39 feet from the actual travel lane of the road.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilman Dorito?
Thank you, Mayor. Good to see you, Michael.
Likewise.
Just really one question, and I know this was raised at the Planning Commission meeting regarding the downstream potential flooding, the impacts of the creek. Can you explain to me how the developer, the owner, is going to achieve the condition 14, which says owner agrees to develop a long-term maintenance agreement for the mitigation of the stream buffer?
So that would be, yeah, so that was a condition that was actually added by Planning Commission. It wasn't necessarily in the initial staff recommended conditions when this went to Planning Commission. But it's my understanding that Jill would require that anyways with a buffer mitigation plan, that there would be a maintenance plan with that, and that would be established at the land disturbance permit process.
Does that carry, I mean, there'd be obviously an initial owner, does that carry on if it gets resold, or, I mean, or he carries with the property?
Yes, yeah, it would be, the agreement would go with the property for as long as the maintenance agreement was established for. And if the property is sold, it would transfer to the new owners of the property.
What do we mean in the condition long-term? Is that to be determined, or?
I believe that is just a term that Planning Commission used in that condition. I don't know that there was any kind of discussion about the length of time that would be. I could seek some clarification from Jill Bazinet, but it's my understanding that she would require a maintenance agreement with a buffer mitigation plan anyways. So she has some standards that she would follow.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Woodman at this point? Thank you, Mr. Woodman. Would the applicant like to come forward at this time?
Hey there. Tori Young with Madewell, 18 Cummings Street. And before I get started, congratulations on the new city council members. And then Chris, thank you for putting in the efforts to reschedule after the weather. So thanks to all of you for being here on an unscheduled night. I appreciate it. Excited about the project. It's been a long time coming, a lot of hard work, just the process of untethering it from Milton High School. The property was a continuous connection to Milton High School, I believe, for over 100 years, somewhere along those lines. And so it was quite the feat to even do all of the legal description work and all of that. It's kind of an interesting process. But nonetheless, we're here. I feel like it's the best case scenario. It wasn't what we were asking for originally coming into the city and what we were trying to put forward. But as it stands, we're in agreement with kind of where everything is at this point. Homeowners can be very excited to be there, super close to the downtown, walkable. and we're excited to get going on the house. If you got any questions, happy to answer.
Do we have any questions for the applicant?
Hi there, nice to see you.
You too.
I saw you mentioned bees.
Yep.
And so I was wondering, have you spoken to the principal over there at Innovation or any of our local beekeepers?
I have spoken with a couple of the folks that are in charge of everything that they're doing over there, not specifically with the principal. I did do that. I also spoke with a couple of folks from actual Fulton County to make sure that we could actually trespass. And so anyway, so the conversations have started, but not specifically to the principal.
I'm glad to hear that. I hope that sticks because that's a great program over there.
It is.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you.
Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards on this item?
We do not have any in favor or in opposition.
However, if anyone would like to come forward and speak in favor, now's your chance to do so. Don't see anyone approaching, so if we have anyone that would like to speak in opposition of this item, now's your chance to do that as well. And once again, I don't see any public comment coming forward, so we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion this evening to approve Z-25-15/V-25-34 Madewell Milton Avenue as presented to us this evening.
Second?
Have a motion to approve. I believe that was Councilman Dorito with the second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. And it passes unanimously. Congratulations, sir. We'll move on to the next item. Next item, public hearing is PH-26803/MP-25-05/CU-25-07/V-26-01. AC Hotel in Vertiport, Northwind Summit. I've been informed that y'all might want to explain what a vertiport is to one of our new council members, so I would cover that in detail as much as you're possible to.
Can I make a comment first?
You may.
Per staff's recommendation, we want to break this into two votes. We want to do the vertiport on one vote, and we want to do the increased capacity of the hotel on a second vote.
Is that fine? Is that appropriate?
I'm going to read through the staff report a little bit more closely, but I think to hold the public hearing would give me enough time, and then I can weigh in at that point, if that's okay.
Okay.
What was that?
Go ahead and have staff present it and hold the public hearing, and then
Fair enough.
get
I
to
just wanted to
motion
make
and
sure
vote.
I had clear direction.
I'll weigh in.
Mr. Woodman, you have the floor again, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The next request before you is a request for master plan amendment, change of conditional use and variance to allow a vertiport, as well as a 7-story, 165-room AC hotel in the Northwind Summit mixed-use development. The vertiport and the hotel are proposed on parcels at the entrance to the development off Haynes Bridge Road and along Summit Place, as you can see on the location map here. Northwind's master plan, the master plan amendment is requested to add a vertiport to the Northwind's master plan, and a conditional use is requested to allow vertiport for the applicant's proposal, which I'll show you. Then there's a change of condition and variance related to the increase in height of the AC of the hotel building from 6 to 7 stories and increasing the number of rooms from 140 rooms to 165 rooms. And the variance pertains to the North Point overlay building regulations, and the variance would be to allow ephes instead of stucco as a primary or as a permitted exterior material on the hotel building. And I do have the location map here. We have 1,000 and 2,000 Summit Place. The hotel is proposed on the smaller parcel with the vertiport proposed on the larger parcel. The property is zoned MU, mixed use. It's subject to the Northwind Summit Master Plan. This is just under 25-acre mixed-use development that was approved, I believe it was in 2017 initially. The mixed-use development is improved within a 140-unit for-rent building, as well as ground floor retail and restaurant uses. There's a 2-story office building, and there's a for-sale condominium building. In addition to those uses that are existing, there's additional approvals within the mixed-use development of a 140-room hotel, 30,000 square foot retail restaurant uses, and about 1.2 million square feet of office. As it relates to the vertiport request, so vertiport, we recently added a definition into our code. We define vertiport as well as advanced air mobility. And advanced air mobility refers to the transport of passengers and cargo short to medium range distances using new and emerging aircraft technologies, such as electric vehicle takeoff and landing aircrafts, which are abbreviated as eVTOLs. We also define eVTOL in our code as well. Our code defines vertiport as a station consisting of takeoff and landing facilities and may also include charging, fueling, storage, and maintenance facilities for use by eVTOLs. We also include in our definition that a vertiport shall not be used by helicopters. There is a distinction between the technology. Helicopter is much louder, and the eVTOLs are much quieter. This is the applicant's site plan for the vertiport. So the applicant, there's a 3-story parking deck that sits in front of a 10,000 square foot retail building at the entrance to the development off of Haynesbridge Road, so the southeast corner. The 3-story parking deck sits behind. The top level of the parking deck would include 4 landing pads, as well as just under 11,000 square foot vertiport terminal. And this just gives you a little bit closer view in on the top of that parking deck. The other part of this request deals with the hotel, and that's a change of condition to increase the height of the hotel from 6 to 7 stories, as well as increase the number of rooms from 140 to 165 rooms. The application indicates that this request is necessary to meet market demand and position the hotel to be economically feasible due to current market conditions. And so I'll show you the hotel site. So again, the smaller of the 2 parcels, the vertiport would be proposed here. The hotel is proposed on the smaller parcel between Haynesbridge Road and the parking deck and the multifamily building. Site plan depicts a 7-story, 165-room hotel. The Alpha Loop runs along the frontage of the hotel on Summit Place. There's a pickup and drop-off area on the east side of the hotel. And there's also a surface parking lot with 26 parking spaces along the north side of the hotel. So 26 is not enough parking for a 165-room hotel. There's an additional 7 parking spaces dedicated to the hotel along this access road between the hotel and the parking deck. And there are another 123 parking spaces in the parking deck that are allocated to the hotel. This parking deck is a 369 space parking deck. And that parking, the parking in this parking deck provides parking for the hotel as well as for the multifamily. None of these uses share parking. They just happen to have parking in the same structure. So the parking that is provided for the multifamily, the ground floor retail restaurant, as well as the hotel, the parking that's provided on the site exceeds our minimum parking requirements. It is important to note that this is part of the North Point overlay, and so we do require a 20% reduction in parking. So you calculate your parking based on our rates in our code, and then you reduce them by 20%. So this does consider the 20% reduction, but it's required. The parking reduction in North Point overlay is required, yeah. So they provide 442 spaces on site, and our code would require 408. So they do exceed the max number of parking required. Just going back to the hotel site plan, just a zoomed in version. So the hotel is oriented here with the surface parking lot on the north end, that pickup drop-off area. This is covered area underneath the building here. And then access to that parking is through this, across this access road. The other part of the request related to the hotel is a request to allow EFS as a permitted exterior material. So in the North Point overlay, we have certain exterior materials that are permitted. Those are permitted based on if they are facing a street or a civic space. So in the North Point area, if the portion of the building is not facing the street or facing a civic space, they could use EFS. The variance request really is for the use of EFS on the portion of the building that would face Haynesbridge Road. So the portion that they have EFS on the other end of the building faces interior to the site and does not face a civic space or a public street. And I'll show you some of the images that they provided. So this is the north side of the building with that parking lot on the north side of the building. This is the east side of the building, so interior looking towards Haynesbridge. Haynesbridge would sit out here. Then this is that pickup drop-off area. So the EFS is actually proposed on this long strip here. So the applicant provided you elevations showing they designed it in compliance with our code. So they show this as stucco, which is permitted, and then they show this as EFS, is what they're asking for in the variance. So you have EFS on the building where it faces Haynesbridge, just on this section here. And then on the back section that faces interior to the site, this section is where they're showing EFS. They show you the four sides of the building in a flat elevation. This would be the south elevation, so the long side of the building, EFS is not being proposed. It's on the narrow sides of the building where the EFS would be proposed, just here. This is showing stucco up here, so this is code compliant, and this is showing EFS in this location per their variance request. Same thing on the west elevation, stucco and EFS. So of course we looked at the review criteria for the master plan amendment, conditional use, change of condition, and variance. The vertiport and AC hotel would be compatible with surrounding properties, which are primarily developed as office buildings, some hotels as well, but office buildings in a mixed-use development. The boutique or full-service hotel was approved with the Northwind Summit mixed-use development, so there was a condition that required a boutique or full-service hotel. That was approved in 2017. We also found that hotel has been an allowable use in Northwind's master plan since the initial master plan that was approved in 1986. So there's actually a total of 600 rooms that were approved in the Northwind's master plan. And there are only 2 hotel buildings that have been built in Northwind's, and the rooms total 176 rooms. So we were supporting this request because it was an additional 25 rooms. It would ensure the brand of the hotel and a 4-star product. And that would be, if approved, the 165 would come out of that total 600 that was approved in the underlying master plan, Northwind's master plan. As it relates to the vertiports, we found that vertiports are located at airports, building rooftops, parking decks, as well as at grades. What the applicant is proposing is certainly in line with what others are doing. The vertiport will serve eVTOLs, not helicopters, but the eVTOLs, which utilize technology that is much quieter than a helicopter. That's part of why we're supporting that request. And we also have some master plans that allow vertiports as well as heliports within those master plans. As it relates to the variance, we believe the application of the ordinance would create an unnecessary hardship related to the variance. The applicant has limited the use of EFIS to the narrow sides of the building. They have provided some information showing that that EFIS is a more durable material than stucco, so it will hold up maintenance-wise. And then the applicant did provide a citizen participation report indicating that they received no comments on the request. The vertiport request was shown at CZIM on April 9th, and the hotel request was shown at CZIM on December 10th. And there were no public comments at either of the two CZIM meetings. The master plan amendment and conditional use to allow the vertiport was considered by Planning Commission on October 2nd. There were no public comments at that meeting, and Planning Commission recommended unanimous approval subject to the staff recommended condition, of which there were 4 conditions. And then after the Planning Commission meeting, the applicant, the property owner added the request for the change of condition and variance related to the AC hotel. And that request was incorporated into the master plan amendment and conditional use request for the vertiport due to the waiting period issue. So the council, there's a requirement in the UDC that there be a waiting period for any council decisions on zoning decisions on the same property of 12 months. So that's why we incorporated them as one request instead of having them separated. And that concludes the presentation. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Thank you, Mr. Woodman. Do we have any questions? Councilman Brady?
Yeah, Mr. Woodman, I'm not sure if I missed this or not, but I know we're going up to 7 stories, but is there a height in feet? Is that 100 feet, 110, 120? What's the height of the hotel?
Of the hotel?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is in feet, but the applicant is here. I don't recall what it is offhand, but the applicant is here, and I'll look for that answer too, just in case.
Thank you.
Councilmember Reeves?
The change in the height, the number of stories, and the change in the variance for the uses, did that go through Planning Commission?
The change of condition and variance did not go to Planning Commission. That type of requests, change of condition, it's council condition that put the conditions on the property, so it's only required to go to council, and the variance as well. If I had received all the applications at the very beginning as one application for both the vertiport and hotel, it would have been treated as one application as it is right now, and both requests would have gone to Planning Commission as well as City Council.
Councilman Hypes?
Mr. Woodman, what year was this originally approved?
2017, the Northwind Summit mixed-use development was approved.
The opportunity to build the hotel has existed since 2017?
Correct, and there were opportunities for hotel previous to that as well, yes.
If I read the staff report correctly, the zoning proposal is supported by the increase in hotel rooms and building heights relates to the economic viability of the project given current market conditions.
That's what the applicant stated in the application.
And is current market conditions when something was approved in 2017, does that support a zoning change?
I don't know that it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Mr. Woodman? Thank you, sir. If the applicant would like to come forward, please. I'm sorry? You may ask a question.
I apologize. I thought we were separating the hotel and the Veriport. I just had a question. I know in the application, and probably easy to understand with the Veriport, they had Veristop in there, I guess, kind of. But it is in the application. I just want to make sure this is a Veriport. It will not be a Veristop. So Veristop then becomes a helipad. Is that kind of the Georgia regulations? Is that right?
Yeah, so the Georgia regulations have some definitions that we don't have. We do. I have heard the term vertistop, and I did look at that and actually found this exhibit because it does address vertiport versus vertistop. So generally, we don't define vertistop, but based on my research, basically what that is it's just a single landing pad without the charging, fueling, maintenance areas. It's just a landing pad at a location, maybe just a single on a top of a building. The vertiport is actually where you will have a terminal for cargo or people utilizing these vehicles. There would be charging, fueling, maintenance, storage type facilities, as well as the actual landing pads.
Okay, great. I saw the Georgia regulation. I just want to make sure we're clear on that. So thank you.
And I want to apologize because I had no idea there was such a thing as a vertistop. So I thought you had mispronounced it, and I was wrong. So I wanted to let you all know that our attorney has advised us that because the application was advertised as being both, we cannot separate them here. So we'll be voting on the application as it was applied as advertised to the public. Council can make changes, or there are things we may be able to do, but we cannot at this time just diverge the two.
We cannot, as a council,
Correct.
separate them.
Correct. As separate items, because they weren't advertised as separate items. See what I'm saying?
Even though we're voting on both of them tonight.
Well, it's one.
Well, I understand.
It's one
I mean, just
including
say,
both.
Like, as long as they were voted on tonight, wouldn't that accomplish what we're talking about, since it was advertised? As long as they're actually accomplished voting on both of them tonight.
I think that if you're making a motion, you'd be making a motion to approve everything, or I make a motion to approve A but not make a motion. I make a motion to approve A but deny B, all in the same motion. I think that is what is intended to be how to address Kathy's concern about the prohibition of the 12 months within the code. So you could.
So are the applicants clear on all of that? As clear as mud? So that is how we will proceed at this point. So if the applicant would like to come forward, now's your opportunity to do so.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. You heard my pitch before. My name's Kerry Armstrong. I'm representing Public Land Enterprises, the master applicant for the project and specifically for tonight's purposes, the vertiport. I have been here before to talk to you about the vertiport. I'd be happy to answer questions for the two new council members about what that is. I think Michael covered it very well. I didn't know there was a vertistop word until about 2 months ago either. So this is an industry that is inventing itself as we speak. We are very supportive, obviously, of the vertiport language, as we've discussed before. We're also very supportive of the additional rooms to the hotel. It will make it a more significant project, a more significant investment. We think it will be an even better enhancement to our existing and planned improvements at Northwind Summit. So we're fully in support of what they wish to do. representatives from Carrioth, the developer of the hotel and builder, are with me, and we'll have them speak in a moment. But I wanted to say that we appreciate your attention to this and the mechanics of getting it all in one piece because of timing issues. Thank you for that support. I will shut up and let anybody ask me questions you'd like to about the well, either thing that you'd want to. Otherwise, I'll ask our folks from Carrioth to step up and talk more specifically about the hotel.
Mayor Pro Tem, I believe you had a question.
Yeah, Mr. Armstrong, just so, and Councilman Brady bringing it up, vertiport's the name, is the verbiage that we've been using up to this point. But after the clarification from Mr. Woodman, are you comfortable with converting this to vertistop?
Yeah, that's it.
Because a vertiport, as he presented, would include fueling, storage, maintenance, all at the same location, versus a vertispot would be a bus stop.
We're more happy with vertiport. Remember, when we're talking about fueling, we're talking about charging. We're not talking about fuels.
Understood.
Storage basically means if one is parked there overnight, is that storage or is it just parked there? We think, as I've said, this is an industry, an enterprise that's inventing itself as it goes, and there's not widespread agreement on terminology and operations. But we are comfortable with the way this has been presented. And
So it's presented as vertistop.
do we present it as vertistop, Michael, or as vertiport?
Okay.
Vertiport. Yeah. It's if you talk to the visionaries about this, whoever claims to be one, someday we imagine there being it's been described as lily pads throughout the region and the state. These will exist. Some of them will be elevated, like we're proposing. Some will be surface. Some will be vertistops. Some will be vertiports. Different levels of facility, not unlike different airports and levels of service that exist now. Our efforts have been around trying to make sure that we are using the best information available from the variety of sources, the state conversation, GDOT, FAA, you name it, and the airlines. We're talking to everybody, and everybody's trying to work together to figure out how this is going to work. What we're simply trying to do is make sure that this site could be one. We think it fits very, very well in what the objectives will be and lends itself well to the operation of a report and would be a terrific asset to the northern part of the metro area, particularly in getting to the Atlanta airport, to the hospital systems south of here. We just think it'd be a great asset, and we think it would also be enhanced by additional capacity in the hotel.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council on that? On the discussion with the vertiport. Councilman Brady?
This is just curiosity,
Yeah.
is for us to kind of know more, but I mean, flight patterns and things like this, you kind of designing it just to kind of be going up and down 400, so flying over residential areas, like for safety and those kind of things. I mean, just questions we will get in the community.
Sure.
What kind of hours of operation, how many fly at once? Is it going to be a bee's nest of activity? You know, all those things you can imagine people don't understand, and really the utility of it. So if you just frame that up for us a little bit so we can.
I'll do my best.
Case your vision and also just understand the safety.
All good questions, and all questions we asked as we began to explore this. First of all, in terms of the common question, the first question we asked is, what about the noise? Well, these things are not noisy. I've heard recordings. I don't think they were fudged. I'm told that takeoff and landing, it's roughly the equivalent of a residential vacuum cleaner. They're electric motors. There are 6 propellers rather than 2, smaller propellers. And I'm willing to take the experts at this point at their word on that. In terms of safety, because of the multiple engines and propellers, the fact that there is an airfoil incorporated in the design, unlike a helicopter, they are safer, easier to operate, less expensive to operate as well, of course. The designs that I have seen all incorporate a Cirrus parachute in each vehicle. We're not talking about big vehicles. The biggest I've seen in this category is 6 passengers and a pilot. They are piloted. They're not autonomous, self-driving. And if you're familiar with Cirrus parachutes, there's an aircraft called a Cirrus, and they perfected this system where if something goes wrong, I think Councilman Himes knows all about this. Pull a lever, and the parachute deploys, and it brings it down. Whoops. Don't want to be there when it happens or in it, but I've seen the videos, and I believe it, and talked to people who have been in that situation. So safety is a big part of it. This is not a toy for rich people. The design parameters are for a ride to roughly cost the size, cost about as much as an Uber XL now. So it's not cheap, but if you want to get to the airport in 20 minutes instead of an hour and 20 minutes, there you go. So for landing and takeoff pads, what I'm told is, and again, the operating companies are in formation now, what I'm told is there would seldom be 4 vehicles actually on the rooftop or on the vertiport, never 2 taking off or landing at the same time. And importantly, the FAA has already designated Georgia 400 as an air taxi corridor. And if you notice, 2 sides of this project are over public right-of-way, publicly owned right-of-way, so they would not have to fly over any public land, so the acquisition of the right-of-way is virtually assured. The FAA is obviously in the discussion in a big way, and we're taking our guidance from all the smart people that we can. I hope that was a broad question. I hope I got some of it.
It's amazing. It's pretty unique, so thank you so much for framing it up.
My pleasure.
So any other questions from council about the vertiport portion of this case? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Hoteliers, do your job.
Thank you very much. I'm Clint Herring with Carryout Corporation. I'm President and CEO of Carryout, and Gabriel Herring's here with me, and Brian Nettles there. And since Mr. Brady, you asked a question on height, I think Brian's probably already gotten that. Brian, what was the height? 88 to 97. 97 feet. Interestingly, just because this sidebar, I want to get that question out of the way. It's actually split level because the building's on that slope going down Summit Boulevard. So it's really not a full 7 stories. Part of the building is on that slope, but that is the highest elevation that the building is. Thanks very much for rescheduling this. Everybody went through a storm. We're in Jackson, Mississippi, headquartered there, and we got a lot of ice and power outages. I don't know how things turned out for Atlanta, but thank you very much for rescheduling. The building we actually received an LDP on the project, I don't know, about maybe 12 to 18 months ago. And the building is desirous of being a boutique hotel. And the net of the project is that when we got through everything and finalized what we were doing on the project, we wanted to be sure that we were maintaining a high level of service and did the things that were necessary to maintain the high level of service. So the extra 25 rooms that we're adding really brings about economics that allow us to deliver the boutique hotel 4-star quality that we want to develop with the hotel. What Carrie was bringing up about the vertiport, that's a bonus to all of us in terms of the extra rooms that would be there. Clearly, if that goes on, it would long-term benefit the hotel from an occupancy perspective. It's not necessary for the success of the hotel. The occupancy and the economics of the hotel and the need for the rooms are there. And so with that, what I thought I would do, you've already seen, which was a great staff report. If you want to see anything more, Gabriel's going to go through a slide so you can see what we did on the hotel. Essentially, all we did was take what was already approved by LDP and the DRB and added a floor to it. That's effectively what happened, so that we could take the economics of the additional room and provide the services that we want. So with that, I'll let Gabriel go through a few slides here and then answer any other questions. The EFIS topic, I've been in the development business now for 48 years, and we're builder, developer, owner, operators. And one thing we've learned in the market two things have happened that are significant with coatings and skins on buildings. The energy code has come about now, and really it brings about the need for additional insulation on the outside of the skin in order to meet the energy code. And then secondly, with the trades, the way things happen today, stucco has infinite, I mean, it's just unbelievable amount of penetrations on the building. And so we have learned over a long period of time that EFIS is a better option for tall buildings where you have so many penetrations with driving rain going through the skin of the building. And that is individually the sole reason. In fact, I grew up in the South and then out west in Arizona, and I actually, as a kid, mixed stucco and applied stucco and HOD to buildings. Well, in today's world, it's not as good on energy efficiency, and it's very problematic on future penetrations. And so we made the request for a reason that we know long-term it's a better product from a maintenance perspective on water infiltration. We do a lot of master plan mixed-use development. In fact, in many of our developments, we said stucco only. And we ended up changing that, and we're very particular about execution of really good work on all projects that we do. But we just learned over time that those intermittent spots that happen turn into significant problems if you're not careful with it. And so that's the reason we made the decision that we think when you add up the energy code and the fact that water penetration is better with a drainable eaves, it's just a better way to go. And that's the reason we're requesting it. So anyway, with that, I'll let Gabriel go over some slides, and then I'm here to answer any additional questions that you may have about the project. Gabriel?
I know the staff has informed y'all very well on the project, and it's been around for a little while, so you probably have a fair understanding of what the AC brand aspires to be. We did print out, and y'all have just a brief printout that was provided by our interior design team. That's really just intended to provide you with a reflection of quality and what we're trying to execute out of the brand. Marriott takes a lot of pride in this brand, and they actually have been a great partner of ours, and we've appreciated working with them. They have high standards, we have high standards, and so it's been a great thing for us. I just want to go through this real quick. I don't want to waste everybody's time with things they may already know. But the question was asked, you know, how is this product different? What is it appealing to? Why do we need it in our city? I think that it's actually a great fit for Alpharetta because of what Alpharetta is today and what it's aspiring to be. Y'all speak to an affluent clientele. You do speak to others as well, but y'all are known for producing good work and a good product, and I think it shows in the economic activity that y'all have been able to generate here. To that point, the AC is considered a 4-star accommodation. It is in the boutique line that Marriott has. It's a very, very desirable product for business travelers. It's located in premium markets, meaning the AC is typically not located in B markets. It's located in A markets. And it's one of Marriott's kind of newest boutique brands. It's expanding dramatically, very quickly, internationally and domestically. I wanted to kind of draw a brief comparison to kind of how we view the AC up against other properties and other hotels that are in the town or in the city of Alpharetta. The current landscape, Hotel Avalon, y'all obviously know that very well. The Hilton Alpharetta, which is kind of a newer property, or I'll consider it newer. That's located. It's quality-wise. Why I listed that here is the interior finishes, the quality, the kind of customer base that you might expect to be at that Hilton is similar. Obviously, different demand there. Okay, that property is. I mean, we went by there today actually. You know, they're having conferences there and that kind of thing. So it's a slightly different user than we would have. The Hamilton is a pure boutique hotel. Our customers would probably be similar, probably to some folks that would stay at the Hamilton. We think that our location in North Winds is more ideal for the business traveler coming in wanting to do business in Alpharetta, maybe not wanting to get tied into what's going on in downtown a little bit, possibly, okay? But still seeking a high-end experience, and that's what we're trying to offer with AC, and that's what most ACs, that's what they're going after. A little bit on the North Wind side of things. Again, you know, we didn't just land there. We thought it was ideally located for the customer that tends to be at the AC. Just our experience with that product. The visibility of it there, we think it's going to be an awesome showcase piece right when you pull in off of Georgia 400. You're going to basically see it right when you pull in. The other thing to note, and certainly there's some sensitivity to this.
I'm
and-
sorry, if you could pause for 1 second. Mayor, the 10 minutes of the initial time for the public hearing has lapsed. So this time it would be up to the council as to whether or not to extend the time for the public hearing. So I'd ask for a motion and a vote on a specific amount of time that you'd like to extend for both sides.
Do we have a motion to extend the time?
Make a motion to extend the time.
But I'm sorry, by how long?
Is 5 minutes enough?
I've got 2 slides. We're almost done.
5 minutes max.
Try to be short.
Motion
and
is for
sweet.
5 minutes.
Sorry, I got a little
All
verbal.
right, so we have a motion by Councilman Heights, second by Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? Do we need to give public comment on that?
No,
Okay,
sir.
I don't see anyone running forward anyway, so we'll close public comment. All those in favor of the motion to extend for 5 minutes, please vote yes. And it passes unanimously. Please proceed.
Thank you.
That's why we pay attorneys.
You know, just to finish up this slide, you know, we recognize there's you know, several extended stay and select service hotels that are in the market. Some of those are aging. There are some newer ones. Again, I'd like to just point out that the AC is hitting a 4-star category. Okay, that's probably the biggest differentiating factor, is that's what we're after, and that's what it does. Hotel comparison, I kind of already went through this a little bit. Most of this is just facts for you to understand and see, but again, you know, highlighting there's some imagery here that's found in this printout that I gave you, but just trying to draw a comparison on quality and what we're trying to execute out of that product. Clint alluded to this just a minute ago a little bit. Some of the things that we do differently with the AC, we increase the kitchen size and what we can produce out of it, so it can produce a more diverse menu. And so that's one thing that kind of that we do to up the ante a little bit on this particular property. Again, this is just summary. We think it's ideally located for the business traveler seeking convenient, high-end amenities and a boutique aesthetic. We also feel strongly about what it does for North Wind Summit. It kind of anchors that corner. We feel like that's a great thing for not just our property, not just North Winds, but for the city of Alpharetta as a whole. And anyway, it's, you know, these things become gathering places, and we think it's going to be that for the North Winds development too. That's just what we've witnessed and seen in some of our other properties. So with that, I am finished with that presentation.
Do we have any questions for the applicants? Councilman Heights.
I'll apologize up front. I forgot your name. I apologize.
Gabriel, sorry. Yes, sir.
What's the conference room capacity for the hotel? Are they meeting rooms? Are they bigger, you know, ballrooms? What's your biggest conference space?
Don't quote me on this because it's in my plans and I don't have it in front of me to do that. I think it's 75 is the largest conference room that we have. And those are intended to be crafted to kind of a smaller type meeting, obviously. Okay, you're not going to have big conferences at this facility. It is really catered towards business activity. Okay, most of those business activities are not super big meetings.
So you're familiar with Hotel Avalon. So
That's correct.
You're not hosting weddings inside your.
If it was, it would be super small.
Okay. I can't let this go without asking. AC is a Marriott brand.
Yes, sir.
You all consider the Marriott on Windward a 4-star hotel? That was really curious.
There,
And if you don't, that's fine.
yeah, I
I'm gonna hurt
reviewed,
my feelings. I'm just trying to find out what
Yeah.
your criteria is.
basically searching online to see what everybody was classifying it as. Okay, and certainly the newer property would probably hit that mark, but just based on the age and duration, some of those previously 4-star hotels are kind of sliding down the scale.
We were presented with a choice between hard coat stucco and ephes. But what wasn't presented as a choice for the exterior of the building were any of the other permitted exteriors that are in our code, such as natural stone, cement-based panels, there's hard coat stucco, manufactured stone, brick. Why is it these are our only two choices to have something that's approved by our code, hard coat stucco, or something that's not approved by our code when there's all these other options as well?
On that note, we do. The large portion of the building's brick veneer.
I understand that.
And so, and then we have some ACM material on the building. When we originally came through with the design that went to LDP and DRB, we had cement stucco because we felt like aesthetically that look was a good look for the hotel. And then when we went through the process and rendered the opinion that I mentioned to you and why we did for ephes, we didn't change globally because essentially we've just taken the building up a floor. We didn't want to relitigate, not that it was litigating territory, but we didn't want to relitigate changing the entire building. We kept with the same theme that we had gone through with DRB from the beginning. And when we did, we just simply came and said, you know, can we use ephes for this section? And I gave you the reasons why we did that. So everybody at the city was very pleased with the design that we came through with in the beginning. We could execute cement stucco. We just honestly, as an owner of the property, and as I mentioned to you, I've been at this for almost 50 years now. If you look at me and say, Clint, what would you do with the building and what would you recommend that we do with the building for the benefit of the city, we would use ephes as opposed to the cement stucco. But it doesn't effectively change the look of the building. It makes it better from an energy code perspective and from a long-term maintenance perspective.
And I understand there's a difference in the color and texture and the appearance. My question is, you went for something there's a long list in the code of available products, but you went for something that wasn't in the code, and I was just curious of your thinking. So.
Yeah, and we essentially did it to stay with the same look that had already been approved.
Depending on the outcome of the vote, if we approve what you've presented, are you still agreeable to be bound by the DRB's, design, whatever they say on the design and the look?
Yes.
Okay. I know this is deep in the weeds, but the code says there's a maximum of 3 exterior colors, and you're got 4 or 5 exterior colors around the building. So I was just curious if if the DRB comes back and says, no, we want to do what it says here, you all are okay with that?
Yes, sir. Interestingly, DRB was very collaborative with this process with us. Mm-hmm. So much of the outcome of the building was a direct result of input from the DRB. And that would include the colors. But we're certainly willing to be compliant with what the DRB, if there was some choice as a result and they want to relook at that, then we'd be perfectly fine with that.
And the request for the additional floor and the additional 25 rooms, it's in the packet, in the application. It's driven by economics. And is that because the economics have changed since the original hotel was approved back in 2017?
It is driven by economics in that I mentioned to you that effectively, in order to provide the level of service that we want to provide, we know that we need the room count to go up.
Okay, let me ask the question differently.
Okay.
If you built it in 2017 when it was approved and you'd run all your numbers, could you have built it with those construction costs and provided the level of service you wanted to when you got what you asked for?
Ultimately, probably not. Back in that particular point in time, because at that time, we hadn't, we had estimated it, but we didn't have final numbers at that time. But what we've learned with the AC since, because we own other ACs, is that the room count is very important to be able to keep the level of service up, because your boutique, part of the deal when we, for example, what Gabriel mentioned, that we enlarged the kitchen, we learned that we want to drive more service through boutique. And so while we may have done it, the economics would not have been what they need to be in order to provide the level of service that we expect out of it as an asset, and that I think the city did. And that's why they have boutique hotel written in what you have for North Winds.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilmember Reeves.
I noticed that you said that, that the 4-star hotels that you looked at had an 85% occupancy rate. And I was wondering if this is targeted to the business traveler, aren't there a lot of products that are targeting the business travel or outside that? Like, for example, there's Fairfield Inn on Webb Bridge that just opened, and I mean, I'm just thinking about the number of rooms that we're putting out there, and the addition of rooms if there's that much demand. So I guess it's just a curiosity question.
The demand generators look good. And the interesting thing about the AC, because of what it is, Gabriel commented that it's a congregating location. It does an interesting job of how it caters to a business traveler together with leisure traveler at the same time. And so while it is predominantly business traveler, it picks up a good subset of leisure traveler also. A lot of the room issues in the small conference rooms are sort of teaming spaces, and they get used for a lot of different functions. And so we don't believe there's a challenge with room demand for the product.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
So all our time is expired, right? So we don't have any public comment opportunities at this point?
There's about 3 minutes left in favor if anyone else wanted to speak.
So we have 3 minutes available if anyone wants to talk in favor for 3 minutes. I don't see anyone coming forward, so we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr.
Mr.
Mayor. I'd offer a
Hold
motion.
on. Ms. Eswine is,
I'm sorry, due process
Interject.
requires us to ask if there's anyone in opposition.
if there's anyone in opposition, please come forward now. Still don't see anyone coming, so we will close public comment. Thank you. We'll entertain your motion now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll offer a motion this evening to present approval of PH-26-03/MP/25/05/CV-25-07/V-2601 AC Hotel and Vertiport Northwind Summit as presented this evening.
Second.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem, a second by Councilman Brady.
Well, let me say at the outset, I love the fact that we do have and have had since 2017 an AC hotel at Northwind Summit in our city, and I'm glad that we have that, and that's a good thing. It's unfortunate that both of these items have to be voted on at the same time, and depending upon the outcome of this particular motion, I would be willing to make a motion to support the vertiport and deny the hotel request. But that's not how it's been presented, so we have to go through this process to see what the outcome of the pending motion is. I just happen to know that our hotel occupancy in the city is, for the last 6 months, at 63%. we have 4,105 hotel rooms in the city of Alpharetta. AC will add 140, or it may add 165 to that total. But every night, we've got to fill, as we sit here tonight, we have to fill 4,105 hotel rooms. And the occupancy rate is 63% since July 1 of 2025. The preceding year, July 1 of 24 to June 30 of 25, it was, for that year, 66% occupancy. And the revenue per available room has yet to recover to pre-COVID levels. And of course, that's the measure all hoteliers are most interested in. So when I see a hotel that doesn't provide distinguishing factors like large conference rooms, et cetera, there runs the risk of being the tendency is to take rooms from existing inventory to the newer inventory, thereby diminishing our existing hotels that we have, decreasing RevPAR, and making it a more difficult hotel environment for those in all of Alpharetta. And I love AC Hotel, I love Northwind Summit, but I'm sitting up here to represent all of Alpharetta. And it would, given those figures, which are the figures for Alpharetta, you know, we are hopeful. We have reason to believe that good things will happen at North Point. If such things happen, we have reason to believe that there would be another hotel, at least one, at North Point. We have reason to believe that there could be as much as 160 additional rooms or more across the freeway from this hotel. You know, the request is for 25 additional rooms, and over the course of 1 year, that's 9,125 reservations, additional reservations for the AC Hotel. That would diminish surrounding hotels. Now, what I'm troubled by, and I want to get out, is this was approved in 2017. Decisions were made by other hotel investors and by council in some instances to approve hotels, or hotels were built as a matter of right, knowing that there would be 140 rooms at this location. But I was deeply troubled when I asked the question, would it have been viable to build this hotel and provide full service in 2017 when it was approved, that it was not a yes. It's as though you asked for 140 rooms, knowing that it wouldn't provide the service that you wanted, and I don't understand that. I mean, the only thing I can draw from that is, you know, we'll get 140 rooms, sit on it for a few years, and come back and ask for more, because maybe we wouldn't have gotten 165 on day one. And if the true answer is construction costs are much greater now, which is how the staff report is written, and the justification for some of the changes is the current, the increase in hotel rooms relates to economic viability of the project given current market conditions. I don't see that as my exercising appropriate discretion for granting changes that are being requested, because if that's the case, let's just do away with the rule, and if we're going to grant every applicant's request based on economic hardship, when the project wouldn't have worked on day one in 2017, we'll just grant everybody their request. There'll be no rules. So I'm comforted by the fact, and I wrote it down, that the additional rooms are, quote, not necessary for the success of the hotel. So I'm comforted by the fact that the hotel will, in fact, be successful, by your own statement, if we don't grant the additional 25 rooms. And as for the EFIS, I'm looking at the staff report. We have criteria for variances, and the first criteria is the property does not have extraordinary and exceptional conditions. So there is no basis for number 1. Number 3 says the property does not have peculiar conditions which affect its use. So there's no basis for number 3. But then we get to number 2, the application of the ordinance, which is the required materials for this piece of property, creates an unnecessary hardship. What it says is, we think EFS is a better product, and therefore we want to use a product that's not approved because we found something we think is better. Well, I'm not sure that, again, comports with the criteria for a variance, with all due respect to staff who used that particular one as a basis for the variance. I disagree. So we're going to have an up and down vote. I like the vertiport, but if I was to grant this request for additional rooms on a hotel, every single hotel should just come back to us and say, we want more rooms, because they can duplicate every one of these things right here. Thank you.
Any other comment? Mayor Pro Tem?
I appreciate your remarks, Councilman Hipes. I'm looking at this in a different way. I'm looking at a project that was approved in 2017 when I first got here. The hotel was not an AC hotel in 2017. As a matter of fact, I think it was called a TBD hotel. And we love the idea of a hotel. I think the number that was picked was in line with a boutique hotel. We thought that was pretty good. Since then, with staff and discussions and experiences, including the hotel downtown here in the Hamilton, we've discovered that they need more rooms, like a 75-person facility. Even if it's a small wedding, I don't think they get that at the Hamilton. I'm not picking on them. It's just a different, smaller piece. Having been in the insurance business for a long time, understanding construction and a lot of contractor clients, Eve's had problems early on. It was a question whether it was the installation problem, and we saw this on the insurance side. Was it a product problem or installation problem? And they've had a ton of time to figure it all out. And he's absolutely right. And statistics have showed on the insurance side, we've actually got more problems now with stucco for water damage claims than we do with the EFS because of the drainage system on it. So I'm not caught up in the material side of what the change is. I am looking at something that was approved 9 years ago. The project had to go through COVID. I'm not defending these individuals. I'm just talking about the time frame period, wherever you are in the city when this thing started. I think personally, having met with these guys and staff, this makes it actually a better property. Because without the 25 extra rooms, I get the scale. The kitchens are smaller. We do smaller events. One of the points that I don't think they brought up here was that the second floor, I believe it is, if you look at the renderings, does offer food and beverage to the public. And so what Gabriel was saying was it's going to benefit the community. The people in the apartments can go over there and have actually walking distance to a nice restaurant. They've got walking distance to a collective place for a bar. I'm looking at it as the entire project that's being created on that corner. If anybody's concerned about height, I don't know if my math was right, it's only going up about 11 feet. To add those 25 rooms is just, it's not a number that I see to push back on somebody who's trying to bring us a great product. So I'm very much in support of this, and I think without a doubt that the time frame that lapsed, although the bank might not say the same thing, I think it makes it a better product. So that's why I made the motion to approve this, and I support it very much.
Any other discussion? Councilman Brady?
Yeah, I'd like to add some comments on there, some resignation. First of all, really appreciate Councilman Hype's kind of comments. I know we're here for all of Alpharetta. First of all, on EFS, it's a superior product. I mean, the stucco has had so many problems. I think we have kind of in our codes to have that hard coat stucco. There's a lot of problems with that. Most of the buildings today have EFS. We built EFS too, and it's at HEMA kind of doing it. It's a superior product, and it kind of has a better design kind of to it. So I totally get that. Going to the extra rooms, I kind of look at that 4-star hotel and look at kind of what we have. And one critical thing that pointed out to me is 85% of the hotels that we have is more of an extended stay style in Alpharetta. There is a quality that we want. There is a business clientele that wants a higher level, and they want to have amenities inside their hotel. like the restaurants, and you like to go downstairs in the bar and have a cocktail. They want to have those things. They want to have the meeting rooms ready to go. That is something that's absolutely desirable within the community. You know, if we look at all of, who wants to stay, we have a lot of hotels where families can stay, and families stay there for a period of time, the regular ones, but this is more of a business kind of application, and it's situated right in the Northwind, so it fits perfectly. Overall, we know this hotel was going to be here because we had it approved since 2017, so it's not a new. We knew this would be an inventory kind of enhancement. I really kind of look at, is it worth kind of adding more rooms to it to have more amenities on a corridor that'll kind of be right there between North Point into a business community, migratory kind of into city center. It's placed perfectly for this. Those are the kind of things I kind of look at from a land planning kind of perspective, and looking at what do we have to offer within the inventory that we currently have in there with the hotels. And that 85% really hit me. So I would like to see more four-star hotels that cater to kind of the folks that have those choices. So that was kind of a little bit of in support of kind of backing it. I love the Veriport idea. I think it's the coolest thing in the world to kind of have technology city of the South that we've dubbed to kind of have this cool kind of thing. But I wanted to understand it more, and I really appreciate the way you framed it up. So that's why I was seconding this motion. So thank you.
Councilman Driscoll.
Two questions, or one, I guess clarification on one. Mike was talking about there's a certain amount of rooms, hotel rooms that are approved, pre-approved set, like it was like 600-ish or something like that was in there. They're by right. So, but is that a floating number? So if you extend the extra 25 or so rooms here, does that pull away from that number, or are those set already for those out there?
Yeah, so the 600 hotel rooms. Thank you, Mayor. The 600 hotel rooms are approved in the Northwinds master plan, so that much larger area of Northwinds. We're looking at just Northwind Summit, which is a small part of the greater Northwinds master plan. So there were 600 hotel rooms approved with the initial master plan that approved Northwinds. That was done in 1986. So any approval of hotels at Northwind Summit will come out of that 600. As of right now, we've only developed 2 hotels in Northwind's master plan, and those rooms total, I think it was 176 total rooms. So we're well below the max 600 that have been approved. The reason why the applicant has to come back to ask for 25 more rooms is when they approved the mixed-use development, the Northwind's mixed-use development, there was a zoning condition that said this needed to be either a boutique or a full-service hotel, and it limited the total number of rooms to what the applicant was requesting at that time, which was 140 rooms. So there is this ability to ask for more rooms. The Northwind's master plan contemplated that. In fact, it says the first 300 rooms are approved for use throughout the master plan, and then you can get an additional 300 hotel rooms, and you exchange that for 800 square feet of office for every one hotel room for the additional 300. So we supported this because the original master plan did support a larger number of hotel rooms. We feel like the applicant's request guaranteed or ensured that product, that brand, as well as the number of stars, the level of the hotel. And so that's why we were supporting that, and you were correct. There's an allowance for a hotel already in this master plan.
And so if these were granted, that additional would be deducted from what has already been.
Whether it's 140 or 165, those will be reduced from the total 600 that were approved for this master plan.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for that. And the second part of that, the vertiport is extremely interesting and cool. But there's a couple of things that were said. I'm on the opposite side for my year. I'm excited about the hotel and a little frightened. Not like the vertiport itself doesn't frighten me, but when you have words like cargo were mentioned and repair facilities, I automatically start thinking of like down around the Atlanta airport, the cargo area, because when we have something that's so cool and so new and very innovative, what does it look like we're all basically, we're talking to experts, and experts think and experts say. And I'm sitting here, if we were to vote to approve this, what exactly am I voting to approve? A concept that can change every time we talk to an expert? What limitations of control do we have on it? So, and it may very well be there, but does that make, I mean, it's.
Yeah, I think what you're voting on in this vote tonight is that use at that location. But there would be a time in the future when an actual structure or something comes back that ends up working through our whole LDP process. So this adds that use as an acceptable use if it's voted up.
And I guess that would be the question of what, if we approve the use, what then limitations, how do you control a use that has we've never approved one? I don't believe, correct? I mean, we're trying to write it, yeah.
So we recently, actually, it's not even incorporated into our code yet, it's so recent, approved, well, you all approved, I didn't, approved changes to the UDC to add vertiport as a use, to define it, to specifically designate it and put it in various places in the zoning districts where it can be requested. And so adding that definition in clearly delineates what it can be used for. And it, you know, as one safeguard, for instance, the definition for vertiport makes very clear it can't be used for helicopters. But I think Michael would probably be able to speak specifically to the regulations that were added. Other than conditions, though, apart from what's in our code, it would just be our standard permitting procedures, and then, again, the conditions that you would have on the use itself. So if there are particular concerns about how this use would operate, I would recommend adding those as conditions to the approval if you're okay with the use but just want to mitigate it in some way, and that would be the approach to take. It is the first one that y'all have had, and so we don't have as much to draw from, I think is fair to say.
I mean, because ideally, I guess this would be approved to add value to that development, not to provide services. So someone could, I mean, cargo, when I heard the word cargo, that's not necessarily, it could get out of hand if it's for, yeah, it's just not, I mean, because we don't, I love the idea of a vertiport being there, but how does it add value so we're not sitting here 10 years from now and AC Hotel is like, there's FedEx is running out of it, UPS is running out of it because it's the only vertiport in the northern part of Georgia that's been approved. So that's my concern.
If I could just follow up with, so in that, as you just said that statement, if you like the vertiport there, then you would likely support what's presented tonight, which would allow for the use of that site. You'll have all the opportunity in the world to condition a project if we ever get an application for one, and you could condition it and say no commercial cargo operations, or, you know, there's that would be when we would start to hone in on what the actual use is. Yeah, so those conditions become a part of a real project. This is just a use added. It says it's okay in this zoning district.
So Councilman Driscoll brings up a good point. When something's new, we have a tendency to think the best of it. Most of us are like thinking about it and going, Jetsons, you know, something really cool. I'm dating myself here, but you think it's going to be something really cool, and I think he brings up a good point about what does it look like? Not only how does it operate, but what's it look like? What's that terminal look like? What kind of a look and feel does it give to the community overall? But Mr. Lagerblum has said we'll have that opportunity when it comes through. So we're just dealing with just the use.
That is absolutely correct. Yeah, when a project comes through, you'll have all the architecture review and all the other, what it looks like. You know, I've seen renderings of these things as these designs have come about and as this concept is talked about, but we won't know exactly what it would look like there until we get a project and then have the ability to put it through our process, which would go through the DRB and all of that. Yep, all of that public process.
That sounds good. I don't really have a problem with the EFS. The EFS is, like, as long as it looks good and it passes all of our city and design review board folks, then I think that's not that big a deal. The vertiport sounds cool. I'm gonna think it sounds cool because I'm gonna think it's gonna be one of the cool things. I think the guardrails will probably have to be put around it, you know, as you get closer to it, but maybe we'll know a little bit more and there'll be more vertiports to learn from. Adding the extra floor bothers me, and it makes me question, does that mean it's not gonna be a 4-star hotel if we don't have the 25 rooms? Does that mean, like, is that what that means? What does not having the extra floor mean to us as the city? I'm a little fuzzy on that, and that seems kind of drastic, but it's kind of where I'm sitting on everything. You know, I hope that anybody who would want to put a hotel at that location in Alpharetta would want it to be full service and want it to be a great hotel. So hope that Marriott stays involved with the project because they do generally make good product.
Councilman Dorito, do you have any comments on this item? You're the only one that hasn't spoken other than
I love the vertiport. I know Mr. Armstrong presented a lot of details in the past when we had to do the definition in the UDC code. I don't know offhand if we have specific definitions around a vertiport use in Alpharetta, or if that could be done in the future to help address some of the questions that came up. I don't have it in front of me, but I think it's a unique opportunity for Alpharetta once again to lead the way in the region here, and to, as Councilman Brady alluded to, you know, we're the technology city of the South, right? So we want to live and breathe that daily and try to stay ahead of technology as best as possible. That in itself, when we built out the fiber optic network in the city, 30 years ago, whenever it was, I mean, that really attracted significant investment in what we're sitting in today. Could never have happened without those decisions being made. So I understand the concerns for the added floor. I think Councilman Hypes outlined some really good concerns. I wasn't here in 2017 when this was initially approved, but the way I look at this and listening to everyone here this evening, the North Point Mall corridor is extremely important to me, and I think the mayor and the council, everyone up here, to redevelop that area. I do think that we're a city that likes to be very progressive, and what I mean by that is very supporting business attraction for additional investment for years to come and keep it a real strong economic region of the state. And with that, you have to have high-class hotels. And so it doesn't bother me that to add an additional floor because I think if I'm the applicant, and I know this really is not something that should be considered in the application, but I'll just be, you know, perfectly honest. If I was the applicant, I'd be looking at enhancing this potential hotel development, knowing that a lot of good things might be coming down the pike in the North Point Mall area that this hotel could support. So, and yes, as Councilman Hypes noted, we hope a hotel is planned for that redevelopment as well. But I think with that development, it's going to require additional Class 4 hotel space to accommodate even that redevelopment, even if a new hotel goes there. And I think you know, some of the maybe small hotels in the future will have to either reinvest or remodel or whatever, but it might cause that to happen as well. So I see that as a positive. The capitalist that I am, I think, you know, let the market drive the decisions of the hoteliers here on how they operate their facilities in the future and to continue competing. And I think a city that's going to continue to grow and require these types of amenities to be provided if we're to, you know, be the type of city that we are today and want to continue to be. So I basically support both.
So I do have one question right quick. To make it clear for all of council, the process you were talking about, should there be an application for one of the vertiports, would that be like a permitting? Do we need to create a permitting ordinance or something that would allow us to have that discussion?
I think that's, yeah, so yes, the answer to, the informed answer to your question is yes. They would go through the traditional design review board process, LDP process to move forward with a project. This creates the conditioned use on that particular property, so
Right.
it would not
But
be a
what I'm saying is,
development by right.
would there be a specific permitting process for a vertiport?
Oh, so we don't have anything specific for vertiport today.
Well, I know we don't now, but I don't expect them to come build one right now. I'm thinking if council chose to create a permitting process, is that something we would have the ability to maintain or control?
So you can always add additional regulations to the UDC, right? Think about all the different uses that you've expanded over time to add different criteria, different standards, things along those lines. The question is whether, if you choose to make further revisions to the UDC with respect to vertiports now, whether they would then be applicable to this particular project. And that would be basically a vested rights analysis that I would have to look into with Ms. Cook on a very fact-intensive basis.
That's fine.
when
That's
the
why I
time
wanted to
came.
clarify it, because I think there were some questions among our council members of how that would work.
Assuming it was a land use-based regulation, but yeah.
Okay. I think that answers my question enough, so I won't belabor that point anymore. I will say that there's no one on this dais that has voted against more hotels in the city of Alpharetta than I have. And I believe Mr. Armstrong probably remembers that I voted against the AC Hotel that they're proposing today. I voted against the North Whidden Summit project because of the intrusion of the tree buffer between 400 and the extension of that road. So, oh well, things have changed, haven't they? I do support the project. I think it's a shame, and I appreciate the thought put into the conversation we've had here, because one of my biggest regrets has been that previous councils approved hotels by right throughout that Preston Ridge area, that market and that development. And when they did that, it removed any ability for us to not approve some of those hotels that exist now, and the potential for more. And so it's good that we're being thoughtful about it, but when you come right down to it, if we're going to have hotels that they already have by right, I want them to be the nicest hotels they can possibly be. And hopefully that will, if it doesn't run out some of the lower end hotels that are problematic at times, then maybe it'll drive other owners to buy those properties and do a better job for our community. So I do support it. I think the vertiport thing is a significant improvement from some of the other options in transportation. We'll have to figure it out, but I won't be the first one in there. I'll let Fergal do that. That being said, all those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes. And it does pass 6-1. Congratulations, gentlemen. So that wraps up the public hearing portion of tonight's meeting. I believe, do we have a public, executive session this evening?
We do, Mr. Mayor. One topic, litigation.
Okay.
And for the benefit of the public, there may be council action after the executive session.
Okay. And public comment, just in case there is anyone that's been sitting here wanting to exercise their freedom of speech. I don't see anyone coming forward to exercise their freedom of speech. So we'll close public comment.
I think you do have one.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were with them.
No.
My apologies.
I'll be fast. My name is Ryan Hinson. I live at 2748 Ashley Lane. I'm an incoming Rotarian and currently attending the public safety Citizens Academy class. I just wanted to say thank you all and congratulations to the new members, and very excited about the Alpha Loop and North Point redevelopment plan, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing to make this a great city to live in. And that'll be it.
That's awesome.
Thank you,
Well, thank you
guys.
for coming. Hope to see you around.
Thank you. I'll see you at Citizen Academy, yeah.
All right. Do we have any reports? Councilman Drea?
And I apologize, but do you mind to turn your mic on? Thank you, sir.
Put it on. On the vertiport definition, we probably need to think about enhancing the definition of it. And I know I heard about vertispot for the first time tonight, so we may want to include some sort of definition on that in the code. I know this is fairly new to us all, and even the applicant, Mr. Armstrong, has kind of implied that they're kind of working through all how this is all going to work and everything. So we need to be kind of probably constantly updating the definition just to, put some guardrails around it here in Alpharetta where we can, once we understand how this whole thing's going to operate. So, and I also want to take this opportunity to thank Chris, the leader, all our department heads, all the rank and file who have done an absolute stupendous job during the recent storm. I know they had to sleep here overnight, they long shifts, overtime. Thank God it wasn't as bad of an event as it could have been, but I know they were a little busy at times as well, but I want to thank all the employees and Chris, I know you kept us really informed and briefed, and I was just very proud to see the city operating. A lot of our residents don't see this, what goes on behind the scenes, but everybody did an outstanding job and should be applauded for that. Thank you so much.
Councilman Hypes.
Thank you, Mayor. The Spotlight Stage, which has been a collaboration between the city and North Point Mall. It's on the second level of the mall, close to Sears and Penny's entrance, right around from the food court. It's really been a great success, and it was the brainchild and formulated by Director Rogers. And there was much consternation in this city when Matilda's ceased to be on South Main Street, when the owner of the property sold the property and Matilda's had to relocate, and I sat out there in the cheap seats, as I like to call them, and watched people get mad at the city because we couldn't control the landowner about selling their property. Well, good things come full circle, and we now have Matilda's at the Spotlight, and they are returning to the city of Alpharetta, and they will have their first performance this Saturday the 31st, and if you follow along on social media or the Parks and Rec page, you'll find other opportunities to see Matilda's back in Alpharetta at the Spotlight. It's a great performance venue. Arcadia Theater has done well out there, and I know some other nonprofits as well have utilized the space, and so it's really been a great success, so kudos.
Any other reports? Can I call for a motion to adjourn into executive session?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Councilman Brady. Any discussion? All those in favor of adjourning into executive session, please vote yes. And it's unanimous. We'll be back in a little while.
You can, okay, so we're ready to go.
Do we have a motion to reconvene?
Like, second.
Have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Councilman Brady. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to reconvene, please vote yes. And it passes unanimously, so we have reconvened.
I'd like to make a motion to add an item to the agenda to discuss the settlement agreement and full and final release of claims with Philip Brothers Hospitality Group.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. And that also passes unanimously.
Yes, so since you have added this, as indicated in the motion, this is a settlement agreement and full and final release of claims between the city and Phillips Brothers Hospitality Group Corp. Doing business as Mercantile Social. This relates to the pending federal lawsuit that was filed and the settlement of that claim related to the denial of their alcohol license with all of the terms set forth in this document. And so with that, I would just ask the council to consider it and vote accordingly.
Thank you. So I'll call for a motion.
I would call for a motion to approve the settlement as presented by Ms. Eswine with the release of claims.
Second.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Councilmember Reeves. Any discussion? Seeing none?
Actually, and I don't think we do have a member of the public here, but before we vote on an item on the agenda, technically our rules require that we call for public comment.
Well, thank goodness we have public here.
Thank you.
We have public comment. It is to proceed. We have a motion and a second. There's no discussion. All those in favor of the motion, vote yes or no. And it does pass, 6-1.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Hype, second by Mayor Pro Tem. We've got to have two more votes. One more vote. He's enjoying it so much. And it does pass unanimously.